Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Exit Light, and this is another in my series of true, unsolved murders. At the end of this video, I'll be putting the link up to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who participated in the reconstruction of this victim's face. That way, if anybody recognizes her or has any information, that's who they can call. The name of this case is The Lady of the Dunes, and it is the nickname given to a woman whose unidentified remains were discovered on July 26, 1974, in the Race Point Dunes in Massachusetts. Her body was exhumed 3 times after her death, once in 1980, once again in 2000, and again in 2013, in efforts to identify her or her murderer, and those attempts proved unsuccessful, despite the reconstruction of her face numerous amounts of times, and her case was featured on the television series Haunting Evidence in 2006. The police were called to the scene where the naked, decomposing body of a woman was discovered by a then teenage girl named Sandra Lee, who later became a crime author. And Sandra Lee stated that she and her sister had found the remains 2 days before the report was made, which had traumatized her and her sister. She later wrote a book about the case titled The Shanty, Provincetown's Lady in the Dunes. The body was found yards away from a nearby road and had a significant amount of insect activity. 2 sets of footprints were found leading up to the body, and tire tracks were located 50 yards from the scene. She was lying face down on a green towel with folded Wrangler jeans, and she had a blue bandana placed under her head. She had long red hair, which had been pulled back into a ponytail with a holder that had gold sparkles. She also had painted pink toenails. The Lady of the Dunes was approximately 5 foot 6 inches tall, weighing 145 pounds, and was described as having an athletic build. She also had extensive dental work done on her teeth, worth between $5,000 and $10,000. However, at the time of her discovery, several of her teeth had been removed by the killer, likely as an attempt to prevent her identification. Her hands had also been removed, one at her wrist and the other at her elbow, and she was nearly decapitated from strangulation. She also had a massive wound to the side of her skull, which was determined to be the official cause of her death. Because of the effort her killer took to prevent her identification, some people surmised that she possibly had a criminal history, as her fingerprints could have been on record. However, her hands, and thus her fingerprints, may have been removed to prevent identification of the victim and hinder the identification of the violent offender who killed her. The age of the victim is somewhere between 25 and 40 years old, although she could have been as young as 20 and as old as 49. After searching through thousands of missing person cases and the list of approved vehicles that were driven through the area, no suitable matches were found. At the scene, there was no sign of a struggle, as the sand and the towel she was lying on were not disturbed. This has led some to speculate that she had been killed at another location and disposed of in the Race Point Dunes. However, that would appear to point to 2 murderers, since there were 2 sets of footprints. Others think that maybe she knew her perpetrator. No evidence apart from what was found in the body has ever been found, although police did search extensively in the dunes. The first facial reconstruction of the woman was created with clay in 1979 by Clyde Snow, who was a forensic artist. Her remains were exhumed in 1980 for examination again, although the skull was not buried at the time, which uncovered no clues. Again, in March 2000, the body was uncovered to extract the victim's DNA, and also uncovered no clues as to her identity. In 1997, it was reported that a Canadian woman had told a friend that she saw her father strangle a woman in Massachusetts around 15 years before. However, police officers did not believe this entirely, although they did attempt to locate the woman telling the story. Also in 1987, another woman told the police that the reconstruction of the victim looked just like her sister, who disappeared in Boston in 1974, and the investigators followed the lead regarding Rory Jean Kessinger, who would have been 25 years old at the time of the murder, and she had broken out of the town's jail. After the skull was reconstructed, authorities did see a resemblance between Kessinger and the victim. The theory was later discarded, though, because DNA from Kessinger's mother, compared to that of the Lady of the Dunes bone marrow, did not match. Another missing woman, Frances Ewald, of Montana, was also ruled out. The Lady of the Dunes was buried on October 19, 1974, in a grave reading, "Unidentified female body, found Race Point Dunes, July 26, 1974," after the investigation had gone cold. In May 10th, her skull was placed through a CT scanner that generated images that were then used by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to reconstruct. The final product was subsequently released. Currently, one of the investigators on the case is raising funds to rebury the body in a new casket because the original casket had been deteriorated. Some people had claimed that this victim had been seen with the famous mobster Whitey Bulger. Whitey Bulger was well known for taking the teeth out of his victims. However, Whitey Bulger has confessed to many of his murders, and this was not one of them. Serial killer Hayden Clark also confessed to her murder, but many believe this to be a false statement, as Clark is known to be a notorious liar. In 2004, Clark sent a letter to a friend stating that he had killed a woman in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. He also supplied 2 drawings, one of a handless naked woman sprawled on her stomach, and another of a map pointing to where the body was found. However, in April 2000, Clark led police to search a spot where he claimed he had buried 2 of his victims, both of whom were women murdered 20 years before. He also stated that he had murdered several others in various states during a span from the 1970s to the 1990s. However, authorities had a difficult time with Clark's statements due to the fact that he also suffers from paranoid schizophrenia, which is a condition that has led others with the same mental illness to confess falsely to crimes. However, in his letter, he did claim, "I could have told the police what her name was, but after they beat the shit out of me, I wasn't going to tell them shit. This murder is still unsolved, and what the police are looking for is in my grandfather's garden." And, as he said, this murder is still an unsolved murder. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you like my stories, please subscribe. Please share with other people who like true unsolved murders or new and original creepypasta, because I read and write my own. If you would like to be notified of new content when it is uploaded, please click that bell. And also, if you'd like to, please click the like button. Thank you.